Hi guys, welcome back to another video. In today's video we're going to have some Division 20 ranked online gameplay in the welterweight division using Leon Edwards. And at the time of recording this is after the Gilbert Burns and Usman main event, where Usman looked unreal. I mean, that jab that he has is one of the best tools I've ever seen. I mean, he has the best jab at welterweight. It's so strong. It's like a piston when it hits the opponent. You can see that whoever he hits it with just freezes. I mean, if you look back to the Colby fight, he had great success with the jab. And then you look at this fight now and how his striking's evolved under Trevor Whitman, I believe. And you can just see he's a complete different fighter. And Burns is a hell of a fighter, and you can see that he had Usman in trouble in that first round. And Burns even reflected on it in the press conference, saying that he went like Cody Garbrandt, just going for the finish. And it's a fight I'd like to see again in the future, because I think them two are just so well rounded and versatile that the fight could be different every time they fight. And I'm looking forward to seeing Usman fight Colby again. I know he's looking for that Masvidal fight, but I'm not too interested in seeing that. Ideally, I'd want to see Usman fight Leon Edwards next, or Colby Covington. And speaking of Colby, obviously we know that Dana's saying he's trying to organise the fight between Colby and Leon, and not too many people are looking to fight Leon Edwards right now, and it's very reminiscent of how not many people wanted to fight Usman whilst he was coming up. And you have to remember that obviously Usman has beaten Leon Edwards, but Usman did say that it was his hardest fight. So it's something that I think would be a very interesting matchup, and Leon Edwards on this game is phenomenal. He is easily top 3 strikers in the welterweight division, alongside Jorge Masvidal and Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. And obviously, Leon Edwards is a kickboxer. He's got a decent ground game as well. And the main thing with Edwards is he suits the meta really well. Obviously, the meta right now shifted from a boxing heavy meta to more of a kickboxing, utilising leg kicks, body kicks. And the best thing with Leon is he can fight swiftly in and out of those ranges, and that's what I'm going to try to showcase in this video here. We're coming up against Tyron Woodley. Obviously, Woodley on this game he's a very good fighter, amazing wrestling as he does in real life, and he's got a big overhand right, a lot of power in his punches, and if you come up against a good Woodley, it's a very hard fight, because they're going to look to wrestle you a lot. And overall on the ground, he's very dominating, very good ground and pound, so I've got to look to be careful with that. And one thing about Leon Edwards is that his ground game's fairly good. I mean, it's enough to survive off his back. I mean, his submissions aren't going to be the greatest, and on his top game is also okay. But obviously, ideally, you want it on the feet. So right now, it's the first round in a 5-round fight, so I'm not looking to spend too much energy. If he's denying my transitions, obviously my stamina is going to get taxed, hence why I'm not denying too much. Obviously I'm throwing these little strikes to build up GA, and I'm ideally looking to deny my opponent's transitions to tax my opponent's stamina. And we managed to get him into full guard here. Now we dodged the straight. I was hoping it'd do the elevation where then the counter where then I ended up on top, but unfortunately it didn't. So we're looking for a deny here to end up on top, and that's exactly what we get. And from here we're going to look to stand up, whether that's the referee standing us up or me managing to get up. And one thing with Edwards, that when I come up against him online, a lot of people don't use his elbows, and Leon has vicious elbows, and you can sneak them in really well, really fluid. They're really hard to predict. I mean, I was fortunate enough to watch him against Gunnar Nelson in London. I watched that live, and he was sneaking in these beautiful elbows out of the clinch, and it was a very impressive performance. And I was actually going to see this fight live in London as well. That was going to be the main event, Edwards versus Tyron Woodley. I believe it was in March, but that's when COVID was really starting to, become what it is now, the pandemic it is, and the event got cancelled, unfortunately. This would have been a fight in real life that would have been very interesting. I think Leon probably would have got the finish, just because of how good his anti-wrestling is. and how good he's kickboxing in. And now they're on the feet, you can see I'm pushing the pace on my opponent, and I'm really going to look to pressure. And for the brief time that I have been on the feet in this round, I've noticed I've had great success in pressure fighting against my opponent. My opponent doesn't like being pressured, doesn't like being on the back foot. So going into round 2, that's exactly what I'm going to look to do. I'm going to look to move in and out of the boxing, kickboxing range and constantly light up my opponent. And one combo I like is the roundhouse to the body and then throwing the elbow straight after as we hit it there. A lot of people don't expect it, and that's just a nice little combo because it sort of makes your opponent stop. And as you can see, I'm being extremely aggressive off the get-go. I'm cautious for the takedown, but I'm not too worried if my opponent does get it. And right now, I'm forcing my opponent to fight a fight he doesn't want to fight. As you can see, I'm going to the head, I'm going to the body, I'm keeping my opponent guessing, and I'm waiting for my opponent to shoot a takedown. I know it's going to come eventually, and my job is to force that takedown out of my opponent, stuff it, get my opponent worried about losing too much stamina from going after takedown, and forcing him to stand with me, because the longer my opponent stands, the easier it's going to be for me to win the fight. And with how I'm pressuring my opponent at the moment, going from body to head, being unpredictable, it's only a matter of time before I get at least a knockdown and potentially a finish. I'm going to look to utilise all the tools in Leon's arsenal. And as you can see right now, I'm pressuring my opponent heavily. And he shoots for the takedown here, and we get the deny. And that's a big deny because that done, it taxed my opponent's stamina greatly. And it also would have affected my opponent's confidence, knowing that he's gone for the takedown, didn't get it, and now he's going to be forced to stand. As you can see, my opponent's trying to match the aggression here, but Tyron Woodley just doesn't have the tools to be as aggressive my opponent's trying to be right now. And we get the uppercut stun, and then we go for the body uppercut and get the drop. And right now, I know my opponent's not in a good position, so I'm really going to look to push the pace. So we've got the knockdown, which is what we wanted. That's definitely won us the round. We've done a lot of damage to the body, a lot of damage to the head, and I believe right now we're in a good position to look to close the fight. I mean, we've still got 3 rounds to work with if my opponent makes out this round, but with the damage my opponent's taken, it's not going to take much more to get my opponent out of here. And as you can see, I'm really pressuring my opponent here, so my opponent sways back in with the body shot, and my stamina is getting taxed quite a bit because obviously the amount of strikes I'm throwing, how aggressive I'm being, but I know that I can sense the opportunity that I can get my opponent out this round. And that's exactly what I'm going to look to do. So my opponent's no longer shooting for takedowns, he's abandoned that his game plan as we get the drop there, and I opt not to get on top for the ground and pound just in case my opponent ends up surviving and then we're on the ground. I'm having so much success on the feet that I'm not looking to. We jump on here and he denies the ground and pound very well. So we opt to get up, and I know that one more knockdown is going to finish the fight. And there's only 15 seconds left as I go to the body there. And I'm waiting for the perfect time to throw the uppercut, and we break the block, throw the uppercut, and we get a beautiful knockout on Tyron Woodley. And that's exactly what you want to do when you're fighting with Leon Edwards. You can, if you're fighting against a wrestler, I'd recommend being very aggressive and forcing takedowns out of them and making the fight as uncomfortable as possible, forcing them to exchange with you, because you will win those exchanges. I mean, Leon's stand-up's so good that it's only a matter of time before you end up finishing these wrestlers. And if you're fighting a Jorge Masvidal or Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, you can fight a more tactical fight if need be. But pressuring with Leon Edwards is a really effective way to utilise all his tools. And if you're feeling confident, you can even mix in the grappling if it's against another striker like Jorge, and you can look to have success on the ground as well because he has a decent ground game. So these are the stats for the fight. Obviously only 2 rounds, that's the judges' scorecards. Thank you for watching the video. Please like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.